I really need to talk with you about something. It's like very important to me. And they don't respond for 2 days, that is maybe also a red flag though.
Yeah. That's an awful sign. Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah. I would probably say to this person that you are worth more than what you're giving yourself credit for. And there will be a person out there who will value you a lot more than what you are getting valued just now. The shot callers
boys are like puppies. You have to train them.
Wow.
Bold statement.
Interesting concept.
If you go the full Scotsman, please don't flash people. So from my experience, at least, even with Daniel, like the first time we met, I was like, this is someone I know I can get along with well. Because for me, the type of person I would date is also the type of person I would be friends with. And I can tell pretty quickly if there's someone that like, I think we're going to gel well, at least on a friendship level. And then like, you'll see where it goes from there. Mm-hmm. So even the first time we met, I was like, I like this kid. Like, he's cool. Like, I want to like get to know him better wherever that leads.
Hello, and welcome back to the Idiots Anonymous podcast. This is episode 6. We're 2 Scottish engineers that graduated during COVID, and this is the show where we take everyday life and make it more complicated than it should be, granting us the title of idiots. And today, I'm Ryan, and I'm an idiot.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Hello. This week, I'm an idiot because a couple of years ago, I went to Cape Town in South Africa. We got a taxi from the airport to the hostel, and I left my phone. Was it my camera? I'm pretty sure it was a bag with my phone and camera in the taxi. Got into the hostel and realised way too late the taxi was gone. So Dan and I, who you'll hear from in a minute, took another taxi back to the airport and did some detective work and managed to find the specific taxi that had all my stuff in it. Just from the air freshener that was dangling from the dashboard, we recognised it was a little devil, I think, and we tracked it down from doing, talking to all these people at the taxi rank. So that was really dumb, but I was very lucky, and this nice man gave me my phone back.
That's like some super sleuthing right there. It was Sherlock
hell
business.
Yeah, honestly.
So proud of that.
So, hi, my name's Rory, and I'm an idiot.
Hello, Rory.
Hi, Rory.
So, this week I'm an idiot because I once tried to use like spray-on bleach on my jeans to get rid of mud stains that wouldn't come out. And I ended up just like dyeing them a weird patchy white color.
Oh, cool.
But because I'm cheap and I don't want to buy new jeans, I still wear them. I still wear them.
Oh, nice. It's a fashion choice. Why did you spray on bleach?
I'm not good at adult life, and I thought, hey, that takes out stains. A little bit of it won't do much. I was completely wrong. Completely wrong. They are
And did you sell them
trash.
for like 10 times what they're worth?
Yeah, cut holes in them and went, the hipsters
So I
will
actually
love
owned
these.
jeans like that when I was in high school that were like purposely bleach stained. So it was a style.
There, Rory.
I'm just behind on the style, but I'll get there.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Daniel, and I'm an idiot.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Dan.
Hello, Daniel.
Hi. I'm an idiot because I love to cook, and a few weeks ago when I was in the kitchen, I was reaching for the frying pan and had forgotten that I was also holding an egg. And as I reached the frying pan, I squashed the egg into the frying pan handle and then let go of the squashed egg because I went, oh, I've got an egg in my hand. And then I had egg basically dripping off of the handle and now all over the floor.
Mad. How long did that take to clean up?
Yeah, my response was, Brittany, I did an oops. And
I request assistance.
Yeah.
Existence.
So he kept cooking and I cleaned the floor.
Oh,
Awful.
teamwork.
Yeah, it was gross. Eggs
Yeah,
are not
absolutely.
fun to clean off the floor. They're really goopy.
yeah.
Hi, I'm Brittany and I'm an idiot.
Hello,
Brittany.
Brittany.
I'm an idiot because every time we try to cook courgette chips, we burn them, and invariably it's because we forget they're in the oven. I don't know why. It's always for this one thing. Last night I set a timer, looked at them. I was like, oh, they could use 2 more minutes, then walked away and left them for another hour.
All I'm getting from this is you two should stay away from kitchens.
Did we even throw them out? Or are they still sitting in the oven?
I actually think they're still sitting in the oven.
Oh
The
my
oven's off,
God.
don't
Is
worry.
the oven at least turned off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was yesterday. So
Yeah.
You're just creating coal for use in the fireplace.
Absolutely. You're
It
saving
smelled-
the environment.
yeah, they smelled like really, really burnt. So we just closed the oven again and let them cool off. And then we forgot them overnight and still haven't dealt with them today.
That's actually, yeah. It's that moment you walk into the room and you're like, this room doesn't smell the way it should normally smell. Open up the oven door and you're like, oops, never mind, they're cremated.
Something's amiss here.
Yeah.
If you can't see
Yeah.
them, it's not a problem. Keep them in the oven.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so if you're listening, you might be a bit lost at the moment. So today we've got Dan and Brittany on the podcast. So Dan and Brittany are very good friends of ours, and they're also getting married. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. And so we've brought you on today because we thought that the difference in perspectives between myself, Rory, and the two of you would be a great dynamic to sort of discuss a few different things. Your perspective on, the science of attraction, how the relationships differ throughout different sort of religious communities, and what's your thoughts on marriage, goals for the future, and also you can put in some discussion about lockdown and COVID into the mix there, because you got engaged quite recently during the apocalypse.
We did.
Yeah, we did. One of the few weekends we could actually travel beyond your own council.
Yeah, wasn't that a distant
Yeah.
memory. All the joys.
So thanks for coming on. I just wanted to, do you want to introduce yourselves and say a bit about how you met, maybe?
Ooh.
Oh, interesting topic right there.
Yeah, so if it's not exceedingly obvious from my accent, I'm American, and I moved over here 4.5 years ago now, in late 2016. And I actually met Daniel in my first week of living in Scotland. I came here for work, and they asked me to go to an event about a week before I was officially supposed to start, and Daniel happened to be volunteering at that event. So that's kind of where we met, but it wasn't anything romantic. He had just gotten out of a relationship he had been in for a long time, and I was new in town, so I actually messaged him after the event being like, oh, it's nice to meet someone like kind of close to my age, and Daniel completely ignored it and like never responded.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Classic Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a message I see, I'll reply to you in a few days.
Yeah.
We ran into each other again like 2 months later, and that's when we actually started talking, but
Yeah.
rocky start, that one.
Yeah. And all thanks to my mum, who took Brittany back to the station, which was close by. And whilst three of us were in the car, my mum goes, "Oh, so you come to the south side of Glasgow often?" "Yeah, actually, I work here." And my mum's like, "Oh, do you have Daniel's mobile number, just in case next time you're local, you can get in contact?" And Brittany's like, "Actually, no." So ever since then, I got a message later on that night, Brittany saying, "Hi Daniel, I just wanted to double check this was your mobile number." And of course, I had to reply.
Yeah.
You had to
Yeah,
at
you
that
had to,
point
that-
because
yeah.
mum said
Okay,
so.
he had to reply though
Yeah.
because he was trying to co-staff a trip that I was leading from work. It genuinely wasn't because he was interested in me. It was for work purposes, so he could get a free trip
Brilliant.
abroad.
Answer to that, I actually did co-staff the trip.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like you got wing-womaned by your mum, and then you established a professional platonic work relationship
It was a
until
Yeah, it has been quite interesting because we have worked. So both of us have been quite active in doing a lot of volunteering within like the local community and things. So
Yeah.
obviously we knew each other on like kind of professional level, so on like a volunteering and work wise. But then obviously as like a relationship, friendship developed, and then a relationship eventually. It's quite nice because we were in some aspects we were like learning a lot more about each other in a more professional environment than say we would have done if we were not in a professional environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I feel like in modern times when we're in the age of like, instant gratification, we think everything should be happening instantaneously and as efficient as it possibly can be. So people go on dating apps, and then the first time they meet someone or start talking to someone, it's in a romantic context. So everyone you meet on Bumble or Tinder or whatever, there is that expectation there. Whereas if you enter into a relationship more naturally, you can get to know someone in a friend or professional way, and then it sort of can evolve organically into a relationship like that. And I think that's really great, and it doesn't really happen much anymore.
Yeah, I also think sometimes with like dating apps, there's quite a lot of like expectations. So there's the moment you start talking to another person on a dating app, both of you are on that dating app looking for romance. So you're kind of trying to immediately put your kind of best romantic foot forward instead of actually maybe getting to know the person out with that romantic level. Because you might have a kind of romantic, kindle affection, but then once that, initial, once you actually try to get to know the person, that person you might not actually like. It might just be you're only romantically attracted to them.
Yeah, I also think people sometimes look for perfection in relationships. And when you first meet a person, if you're looking for perfection immediately, like that's just not going to work. That doesn't work. And I think that's sometimes what goes wrong with that, because you're looking for that forever person automatically. And that is really a lot of pressure to put on someone you've just met. I think when you have a friendship and you like them as a person first, you maybe can forgive the small things that aren't perfect, because you're never going to 100% like everything about someone else. And I think it's easier to forgive some of those small things when you already have that like friendship type of relationship before you're looking for that perfect long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Would you disagree with people that think when they meet someone is their soulmate then? Like, do you think, you know, when there's people like, oh, he got me 100%, we're destined to be together really, really quickly. Would you say that that's kind of like, I don't know, unrealistic maybe? Or is it just your kind of personal preference that you'd like to get to know them like more gradually?
So from my experience, at least, even with Daniel, like the first time we met, I was like, this is someone I know I can get along with well, because for me, the type of person I would date is also the type of person I would be friends with. And I can tell pretty quickly if there's someone that like, I think we're going to gel well, at least on a friendship level. And then like, you'll see where it goes from there. Mm-hmm. So even the first time we met, I was like, I like this kid. Like, he's cool. Like I want to like get to know him better wherever that leads.
Trust me,
whether
it
it's friendship
doesn't
or
happen
not.
very often that, you know.
And you were heartbroken when he didn't respond to that first message.
To be fair, like, yeah, I mean, I wasn't heartbroken, but it was one of those things where I was just like, I don't know anyone in this country. It would have been nice.
Clearly there's some PTSD, you know, that's going on after.
Damn it,
That's
Daniel. So the idea of soulmates, like I do think there can be like an initial attraction. I don't think it's necessarily always a romantic attraction. Like, for me, it was like, great, this is someone I definitely like would enjoy talking to again. It wasn't necessarily, wow, this is the guy I'm going to marry. As it happens, that worked out. But like...
Yeah. And in terms of soulmates as well, like it's always depicted in films like, oh, these two people are meant to be together. But more often than not, like for me, I think of soulmates as two people that are compatible over a certain percentage, if you know what I mean. Like you're compatible with someone 50% and then your relationship isn't going to last very long. If you're compatible with someone like 85% plus, but there's still some things that you don't like, that is a soulmate. And there could be multiple of those people that exist in the world, you know?
It's actually really interesting you say that. So there's a Black Mirror episode. I don't know if I was going to mention, there's a Black Mirror episode that's all about that compatibility and like finding the soulmate. And it's actually really interesting because, I mean, I won't spoil it for people out there who are wanting to watch it. But yeah, it's basically, there's a dating app, and instead of wasting time looking for a potential person, the app basically tells you how long your life with this person is going to be, and that's the premise of it. If you want to go and find it, then obviously you need to go and watch that episode.
That's a really good.
I was actually just about to mention that before you did.
we are compatible, Rory.
Oh, yeah, leave Brittany, come over to me.
I might have found a different soulmate.
Oh no, I need the visa.
Do both of you believe in having types? Are you attracted to certain people, or is it sort of just being, you know, who you're compatible with and that's it?
So I think for me, like, it's a personality type more than a physical type.
Yeah.
I would definitely say, like, if you looked at the people I've dated, there's not that many physical similarities, but there are definitely certain personality things that I find funny. They all seem to like the same music. They're really big Disney fans. I think all of them could recite an entire Disney movie for you from memory. You know,
That's Dan.
Yeah, it's done.
Everyone's liked Harry Potter, like things like that. There's kind of like very odd threads that you can see between every person.
Sure.
I'm promoting out there. There is absolutely everything right with loving Disney, and in particular, singing those songs.
Yeah, we're not here to judge.
Which one have you got memorized? What do you sing all the time? I think I remember you singing like perfectly, I Just Can't Wait to Be King, like all the way through.
Ryan.
All of the Lion King.
Well, basically all the Lion King. So as you know, how'd I put it?
So like this morning, for example, we were doing household chores, so like making the bed, doing the dishes, and we played Happy Working Song from Enchanted, Almost There from Princess and the Frog, Work This Out from High School Musical 2, like all Disney working songs.
Which I have to say were not my choice though. I mean, I'm
you
more,
know all the lyrics.
So I'm more like a kind of, how'd I put it? Like I don't know, like a 90s Disney. You know, there was a time period throughout the 90s where they just released like hit after hit after hit of those kind of movies. They're the kind of movies that I love. You know, your Tarzan and your Lion King. Oh,
Little Mermaid.
Aladdin, yeah. Little Mermaid didn't. I don't know. It didn't really get my heartstrings. I actually got into my heartstrings later on in life, but you know, other than that,
Beauty and the Beast.
There's just like banger after banger.
We have.
Yeah,
not that you can see.
You guys mesh really well in terms of those types of interests.
They're Disney purists, and that's what keeps them together.
Disney purists.
Complete nerds is what I would call it, but yes.
Yeah. And Dan, do you have that sort of, have you found yourself having a set of criteria that make up your type, or has it just been sort of free flowing?
Oh, absolutely. You know, you open up that criteria and you get your pen and paper out and you say, you're right. Can you sit down and just answer these few questions for me?
Yeah, little checklist.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but you've only got a 78%, so we're just gonna have to wait till the next one comes along.
You're just, yeah, I'm sorry, we're not going to last over 5 years.
Yeah,
so
I'm just gonna save my time and invest into some other, top market trader. I don't know. Do I have a type? I would say, do I have a type? I would say that I don't have physical attractions. I would say there's some maybe physical attributes that I maybe find more attractive if, they were, I don't know, if they weren't too
You're just
tall.
looking at Brittany and you're going to describe some of Brittany's characteristics here, aren't you?
Can't dig a hole.
Or even worse, not describing my characteristics.
Yeah.
They need curly hair. They need to be completely dark. Scottish only.
Yeah. I would say it probably aligns a bit more with what Brittany's saying, in the sense of, I think it is more of a kind of personality point of view. So for me, they have to be quite family orientated, caring. They have to be able to invest time and invest effort into something, instead of just looking like that kind of ideal person that I have in mind. It's definitely what the person kind of is, who they are as a person, as opposed to definitely what they look like, because looks can change over time. Looks, a person can do, they can get surgery, they can put on makeup, they can, as they get older, their physical attributes may change. So, a person's attraction to their those person's physical attributes, might also change. But a person's, kind of personality and their characteristics, generally speaking, will
that's what
remain as that person.
Falling in love with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. What about you, Rory?
Do you know what? I always have one. There's one thing. If you check that, then that's fine. I'm happy. Is just the ability.
Have a heartbeat.
Yeah, they got to be alive. That's all. That's it.
Wait, hang on. No. And age?
Oh, don't. That's a horrible.
Daniel.
Yes, of an adequate age and a pulse. There you go. There's the
Nice one.
But I always say the ability for nonsense, because half the time what I'm talking about is nonsense, which is why I was like, podcast, I can hit that. Just constant. I can talk for Brit. If someone can't jump on the back of those jokes, then it's impossible. You're going to get so irritated by me so quickly.
I know this might sound quite, negative or dark, but I would be really interested to see why this is. So why is it that grandparents typically are, most of us have grandparents who are either still as a couple, or the partner may have passed away or whatever, but divorce wasn't really, divorce or separation wasn't really much of a kind of frontline thing in relationships back then. But nowadays, the kind of the split of how many people get divorced from when they're married, I'd be really interested to see, because I imagine that kind of divorce rate has exponentially grown in recent years.
Yeah, I think so. But the culture was different in that people, when they got married, they were expected, by the way, this is you for life. And that was instilled in everyone's head.
Yeah.
Whereas, now with the technology we have, and with, for example, it's different for you guys, but, I think my parents got married when they were 21 and 23. I'm 23 now, and I can't imagine myself being in that position whatsoever.
No.
It's just absolutely baffling to me. And then from that point until they're whatever age they are now, being together and never even thinking about, thinking back, it doesn't cross their mind, did I choose the right person? Was the grass greener on the other side? Did I jump into something too fast? They don't think about that, because they just weren't brought up with that sort of mentality to question that.
Yeah. I think I also, depending on the time period, part of it is women also didn't necessarily get taken seriously if they wanted to get divorced. It wasn't always allowable for a woman to initiate that.
That's
Sometimes
true.
it had to be the man.
Yeah.
Or if a woman did get divorced and it was a time in society when women didn't work, they weren't going to be financially stable anymore if they didn't have a husband to rely on. So some of that was probably societal in a way that we don't have anymore, because, women have a lot more independence than they did in earlier times.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah.
I think it's a little bit easier for people to break up now, especially with the involvement of the internet, which I'll use as a little pull into our first game. r/relationships advice. But hey!
Ooh, wow.
So all I did was I hopped on ye old r/relationships advice and was looking just for some weird stories that I thought, people they're hard on times. They're like, they want advice, they need a little bit of help, and we are definitely the people to help them out with it. So we can.
we're so
100%
qualified.
Experience.
Oh, yeah.
Between the four of us, I would say that we are up there in the top kind of relationship masterclass.
Yeah, if you combine the brain power of all four of us, you're talking like hyper intelligence that the world has never seen.
You're talking about like a strong, stable union of relationships between the four of us. Like if we could be a marriage, we'd be a soulmate.
Yeah, you've got the polyamorous of me, Dan and Brittany, and then you've got Ryan.
And then you've got Ryan.
The
Yeah.
overview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
What have we
first
got?
one I found was a little bit mad. So the title of it was, "Am I being irrationally crazy because my boyfriend won't take any pictures for me, or should I call him out on my behavior?"
What?
Which isn't the first, like at first seems fairly normal, guy
Yeah.
won't take pictures. It's a little bit weirder. So her boyfriend went on holiday to Ireland with his family, and she wanted him to take some pictures to bring back to her, right? So she says, the first thing I asked him to do is to take My Little Pony Rarity with him so he could take pictures of it in different places. It sounds dumb, but I thought it'd be super awesome to have pictures of my pony in another country if I couldn't go. He was dead set against it, and I thought because he thought it was embarrassing, but I talked him into it before he left because I wanted the pictures. The next day, his mum saw it and chuckled, so he broke down and just didn't want to take any more pictures. So I told him not to worry about it, and just to take a couple. I was a bit bummed, but I didn't want him to feel uncomfortable about it.
No.
So yeah, this girl wants her boyfriend to take pictures of her My Little Pony in different countries, and he doesn't want to do it. What advice would you give to this girl?
I would say fucking put your My Little Ponies in the bin.
Okay, it's not as weird as it sounds though. I'm in a travel group and there are tons of people that have like, maybe not a My Little Pony, but they'll have like a Lego figure that looks kind of like themselves or something like that.
Yeah.
But they do like to have pictures of it taken around the world. It's kind of like I don't know if you guys ever had the flat Stanley trend here where schools would give kids like a picture of a person and they would have to send it to all their relatives to see how many places they could get a picture of this thing in.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Right, it's like that kind of trend. So it's maybe My Little Pony is an unusual choice for this, but it's not that weird of a thing, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's an okay request. It's just like the fact that the boyfriend is outright refusing to take this thing with him. Like, how big is a My Little Pony? Like, it fits in the palm of your hand, right?
It depends.
It's just like a little figurine.
it's a
You
little
can get
pony,
big
Ryan.
ponies.
If you're talking like a little pony this size,
Yeah.
for like that fits on your hand, then mate, don't be a wank. Just do what your girlfriend's asking you to do. Take it with you. Fucking put it inside like a opaque bag so that no one sees that you've got a My Little Pony in your luggage, and then whap it out when no one's looking to get the photos. Don't be a wank. Just do what she says, right?
This is
'Cause it's not detrimental to him.
This is an example
Okay.
of blatant toxic masculinity that a grown
Well,
man.
yeah, it seems like he is embarrassed to have that with him. Embarrassed that people will see it.
To be honest, Rue, I know you're like half joking, but like, yes, because one, he should probably articulate why it bothers him so at least she can understand. And two, just tell your mom why you're doing it. Like, your mom's not going to laugh after that. She would just think it was cute. Like,
Yeah.
if you just
Well, your mom
articulate
could be a bully.
things, it like is not actually that bad.
Yeah. And Dan, have you ever been in public with Brittany? And Brittany
I've never been in
asked
public
you
with Brittany,
to
no,
hold
Ryan.
her.
No, it's all been behind
her in the
closed doors. Yeah, no, it's more,
He doesn't let me
it's
out of
more-
the house.
Excuse me, it's more vice versa. It's more like I don't even have a key to the own house. I just get locked in my bedroom and then get told when I can come out for a glass of milk.
Oh, God.
Well, I'm glad that you're allowed to be on the podcast. Thank you, Brittany.
Thanks,
You're
Brittany.
welcome.
Yeah,
Have you ever been in public and then Brittany's asked you to hold her handbag or purse or something just for like 2 seconds?
I mean normally it's
And you do it,
more
right?
than 2 seconds, but absolutely, yeah.
Okay, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you do it, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah. Most of the time, actually, being the kind person that you have to be, and that
Yeah.
I am sometimes. You offer because if, for example, Brittany's trying to tie her shoelaces and she's carrying a bag on her arm and it slips down to her elbow. Well, of course, you're not just going to stand there and watch this happen.
Yeah.
Also, like with my purse,
Some
half
people-
the time it's filled with your shit. Like, it's gonna have like your charger, your
True.
keys. You ask me to carry your phone and wallet half the time, so like, it's shared responsibility.
And you're not scared of people looking at you and being like, haha, look at that guy with a purse. Because fucking obviously it's not yours, right? You're holding it for your girlfriend.
That's not even a problem
So I
either.
didn't think,
For like holding.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you're not
exactly.
scared.
It's completely okay.
Yeah.
So we agreed she should tell her boyfriend, just take the pictures. Just do it.
Absolutely. I mean, maybe there might be like a deeper reason as to why this guy's being reluctant to take photos. Maybe it's not as healthy a relationship between him and his partner as it is. Maybe he's scared to voice his opinions towards her. So this is kind of his ways of defying against maybe her controlling ways. I don't know. There might be like a deeper meaning behind all this.
Yeah.
But
That's really interesting.
yeah, but for face value,
Yeah,
face
for face
value,
value.
the information we say,
For face value,
Sounds
yeah.
like a small request face value at least.
right? Cool. So if
Cool.
you're listening, mate, take pictures of the pony. It's sound. Right, so
But sorry to interrupt you, Rory. But if you're also listening, and you are having some, domestic problems, it's okay for both the man or the woman or whoever on both sides of the relationship to seek, domestic help, because domestic abuse is not okay on either side. Just going to put that out there. But again, this is reading between the
Correct.
lines.
okay.
Correct.
Well, the second one I have is a bit more kind of to lockdown style of things. So it's my girlfriend takes forever sometimes just to answer my text messages or doesn't answer at all. How do I address that? So I don't need to go too far into it, but he says when they're together, they're both really attentive, both loving and stuff, but she doesn't reply to messages when they're apart.
Okay.
What should he do?
Well, sit down and have a nice conversation about it, because we had a very similar problem.
Yeah, to be fair, I definitely if something's making you unhappy, you need to let the other person know. I think sometimes we wish people could read our minds, and that is an unreasonable request. It's really nerve-wracking sometimes, because if you really want something, better communication, the other person just doesn't make it a priority, then it's not going to work, and that's a terrible answer to get, and you almost sometimes would rather not have the conversation than get the answer you don't want. But it's better to know and break it off if it's going nowhere anyways, than to be terrified and hold it back and hope they're a mind reader.
Yeah.
Do you think
That's insightful.
that differs if you can't physically sit down together? Like if you wanted to schedule a Zoom meeting or something, then if she won't reply to the messages, how might you do that?
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Oh.
But the question is, though, if they're if they are, when they're together, communicating, all right, but it's when they're not together, they're, texting things. Well, when they are together, can one of those together moments just be, a sit down and actually chat about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, if you put the situation into more of a lockdown perspective, say they can't because of the distance, they can't see each other physically, do you think you'd still be able to have that kind of conversation if you were really struggling? Or do you think that's you're not going to...
It's really difficult to do that on Zoom or over video call, because you want to convey compassion, and you want to be really nice about it and read people's body language and be able to, hug each other and make eye contact, and you can really read if someone's telling the truth or not in person. Doing that over a video call, it seems very impersonal and difficult, and it can come off quite cold.
Yeah.
If you're having that type of conversation. So
Yeah, I would agree that probably
could be difficult.
makes it a lot harder. I do think if you text your significant other and say that, I really need to talk with you about something, it's very important to me, and they don't respond for 2 days, that is maybe also a red flag though.
Yeah.
That's an awful sign. Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
That maybe isn't, that maybe gives you the answer in itself.
Yeah. I think a thing that I might suggest is you always have to, so obviously you have to value yourself correctly. So if you are just happy to be strung along and, to everything's going well in person communications, but then after that, sorry, Brittany's laughing because this is what happened with us, but because, at the very, very beginning. So, if this person's, happy just to go along in person, yeah, it's going great, whatever. And then once, they don't see each other, then it's complete radio silence. The person then needs to reflect and say, okay, am I actually happy doing this? Am I worth just being patched and sat at the sidelines until you're ready to see me or you're ready for the next thing? Because I would probably say to this person that you are worth more than what you're giving yourself credit for. And there will be a person out there who will value you a lot more than what you are getting valued just now.
Hell yeah.
I'm so glad you
Whoa,
understand
it's
that now.
Preach it, sister.
So it's, if you can, in your safe space, bring it up. Or if that's not possible and it's really important to you, then maybe that's not the relationship for you.
Yeah.
Bish bash bosh.
God, we got through them rapid. Efficiency.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I'm telling you,
yeah.
this is the mastermind.
Hyper intelligence level.
Yeah, absolutely nailed that segment.
Well, to be fair, you two gave the insightful, emotionally intelligent inputs, and I was just like, me and Rory just like giving some caveman level input.
Me no like text message. Me no like.
I've been slowly training Daniel over the last few years of us dating, so he's on the right wavelength now.
You're training him to respond quicker.
The
to your
shot
text.
call-
Boys
have
are
been
like
working a treat.
puppies. You have to train them.
Wow.
Bold statement.
Interesting concept.
I joke about that all the time.
Although
but yes.
I don't disagree.
I'm also, a couple of years older than Daniel, and I've had like one or two more like long-term relationships. That also comes with, I guess, a little more time to get things wrong and learn how to do them right.
It also depends.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. Yeah.
It also depends.
because
Sorry.
yeah, I was just going to add to that and say, like, the time you spend in relationships and the different scenarios, all contributes to your bank of things that you don't want. And then you can apply those in the future to filter out other people.
Yeah.
Filter out all people.
Hopefully find the relationship that actually has all the things that you do want. If you're aware
I'm
of.
so picturing like a futuristic dating, not application, but just like some type of smart technology that gets, plugged into your mind, and it basically goes through your previous relationships and what went well and what flaws. So then the next person you meet will instantly be able to analyze, what that person's like and whether or not it's going okay.
Yeah. Gives you like a communication score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it gives you like
never
gives you like
won.
warning signs if like things are not going well, or things that you need to speak up about.
And here you have it, next week's plot of Black Mirror.
It's like
Yeah, imagine you're getting like a push notification on your phone and it's like, your relationship health index has dropped by 3 points this week.
Yeah.
It's like a FIFA Ultimate Team card. It's just like all the ratings, like the categories, and you're rating each of those categories. You just like
Exactly, like
reach your
top
phone and go,
trumps. Yep.
oh no.
Yeah. I guess it's that time again just to move on to the next one. Swipe right.
God, that sounds so stressful. No.
Sex appeal 0, but humor 100?
Yeah. And we've only spoken
I'm a
for
catch.
29 minutes in 2 weeks. I don't know about this.
So I wanted to ask you about how you think your relationship could be different from typical... Okay, I'll rephrase. So you're both Jewish.
Are we?
And you are both...
Shut up.
Yeah, shock. So you're both Jewish and you've you're active in the Jewish communities, and is it volunteering that we were speaking about earlier was in relation to that as well, wasn't it? Yeah, so you sort of met through those channels. Rory and I are not engaged in any sort of religion.
Yeah, we're not engaged.
It's just we're not engaged, unlike you. And we've not been brought up in a religious family or in a religious context. Do you think the expectations of relationships would differ between those two situations? So like, how do you feel like your sort of involvement with the Jewish community has affected your relationship and the pace at which it's gone and different sort of things like that?
Yeah. So we had talked a little bit about what we wanted to say on this topic, just because obviously we can only speak for our own kind of Jewish observance and experience, and it's not going to be universal to all Jewish people. And we wanted to make sure that was clear, because I think sometimes it becomes weird if you're speaking for like an entire religion and there are so many different ways to do Jewish. So this will be specific, I guess, to us.
Disclaimer. Cool.
But we were saying that like at least one thing that I think a lot of Jewish people would find this resonates with them is that there's sometimes pressure to marry other Jewish people. Because if you look a lot at Jewish history, even like recent modern history, a lot of it is about people trying to exile Jews, or, World War II, the Holocaust, we know how that went. There's a lot of pressure to like keep Judaism alive yourselves because so many other people have tried to make it stop happening. So sometimes I think there's definitely pressure to marry someone else Jewish. Both of us decided personally that it was important to us. My mom is not married to someone Jewish, so my dad's Catholic. So like my parents would never pressure me on that because they have no leg to stand on with that. But like personally, it was something I decided was important to me. And I think maybe for similar reasons of just like, you feel this, I don't know, weight to carry it on.
Okay.
And I always knew when I grew up, I wanted to be involved in my Jewish community when I was younger. So when I came to Scotland, I worked in the Glasgow Jewish community for 3 years. That was the job that brought me here. So to me, marrying someone Jewish, that I could continue Jewish traditions in my home with someone who would like kind of get it was important to me.
It's also a very strange kind of, this is something very, very strange, but if, for example, we were in a group environment and, you know, I met another person, particularly in like Glasgow or Scotland, and, you know, I came across another Jewish person, or, you know, they had some type of like religious roots. I don't know, you feel like you have an instant kind of connection with them that on like a very different level than say if, you know, you got on with someone like, you know, just on a friendly basis, that kind of idea. Because you've then got, you know, cultural similarities. You know, you've maybe got like similar family upbringings. You know, you've got struggles, you've got happiness, and you can relate to each other on quite a lot of similar levels. And particularly in our religion, the religion kind of carries through the mother. So, for example, if the mum's Jewish, then the children that she carries into the world will then, you know, biologically be like brought into as a Jewish.
Yeah, so there's
religion.
like less pressure on me to marry Jewish, for example, because my kids will be Jewish no matter what. But for Daniel, if he doesn't marry a Jewish woman, his kids may not be considered Jewish by the Jewish community. So it's harder for guys than girls in that respect. Judaism's matrilineal. It's like a nice little feminist type thing there.
Yeah. Sorry, can you go back to when you said there, for example, if Dan married a non-Jewish woman, those kids would not be considered Jewish by the Jewish community. So would that impact them? Would that be?
It depends on what kind of community they're in. Reform communities, which tend to take a more loose interpretation of religious rules, would probably still consider them full members of the Jewish community. In an Orthodox community, they would probably need to convert to be considered fully Jewish. So they might not be able to do certain life cycle traditions like a bar bat mitzvah, which is when you're 13, you're considered an adult in the community. There's like a whole ceremony. You might not be able to do that and it really varies depending on the rabbi in that community and how strongly they hold things.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of interject there. It does depend on the community. So, for example, the community in Glasgow, they have taken a very much a more modern approach to things, even in like the kind of Orthodox community. So that's kind of like the kind of more religious side of things. So, you know, society is obviously changing, and the way that we kind of look at each other and things that are being accepted into society are changing from even what our parents were brought up in to, you know, what we're brought up in, and even to what the children nowadays who are, you know, sitting, you know, at 2 years old, what they're going to then be brought into when they're 20s is going to be entirely different to what we think is acceptable. And like I off the top of my head, you know, I know quite a few families who things like this, you know, it happens a lot more now than it happened, you know, say 30 years ago. It's just the way like society's changed, as I've been saying. And if you were to ask the same question, maybe that time period, you know, 30 years ago, you'd probably get a slightly different response to the response it is today. The response to it today is okay. It's becoming a lot more normalized, which I think's obviously great, and it has to happen. For example, my first cousins. So my first cousin, who's now living in Australia, his partner, and I think it was up to her great grandparents. So she is what you call halakhically Jewish, which means that her mum and her grandma and her great grandma, they all had daughters. So this kind of Judaism was passed through the mum, even if they didn't practice it or not. So when my cousin Anthony met his now wife, the rabbi basically looked into his partner and found out that actually she was Jewish. Even though her mum and her grandma didn't practice Judaism, I think they practiced another religion, but they were able to get married kind of Jewish. And, you know, it's that kind of thing. So, you know, it's all about kind of adapting to modern day times, which is all about, you know, kind of accepting that people are able to make up their own life choices and not get kind of negatively shone down on it.
Mine's
Absolutely.
Mine's a little bit different because I was actually raised in a religious household because my mum.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's cool. My mum was religious, but my dad wasn't, which means I got the two perspectives. But then I was kind of free to do whatever I wanted, so it never impacted much. So when I was younger, like, you need to go to church, because I said on the last episode about Christmas, or like a couple episodes ago about Christmas, that I had to go to church, I had to do whatever, but then by a certain age, you're just like, do what you like. So it's never been anything that has impacted how I have relationships, how I structure my life, or anything like that. So it's kind of interesting to hear you guys talk about it, because
Yeah, because it's like another dimension, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I have a list of things that I consider in my day-to-day life and when I'm in relationships. And for you guys, there is an additional dimension to that that's being considered, but you just have it's always been a consideration for you.
Yeah.
So
I think like both of us have siblings that are very likely to not be marrying someone Jewish. And you can see that, I guess, like our family friends and stuff get excited about giving us like Jewish cookbooks and other like Jewish items that you would put around your house because they know that our household will be Jewish, whereas maybe our siblings will have either a mix of faiths or no faith or something else. We don't really know what they're choosing to do. But you can definitely see it brings a little like joy to people to be able to like contribute Jewish items to our household. Like I know my grandfather wanted to buy us things that we put on our doorpost. It's called a mezuzah. You know, my grandpa's really excited to buy us like a nice mezuzah, and he's going to give us my grandmother's like Hanukkah because I'm probably his only grandchild that's going to marry Jewish.
yeah.
So things like that. It definitely brings like a little
That's awesome.
extra joy.
Yeah.
And so about the sort of future then. So obviously Brittany coming over from America, Dan, you've grown up your whole life in, you know, the south side of Glasgow, and you're getting married now. Do you have sort of ideas or like an overarching vision that you've spoke about for the future in the next, like, where do you see yourselves in 10 years from
Daniel
now?
sees himself language. Daniel sees himself still in the south side of Glasgow is my guess.
Yeah.
We're probably going to move about 5 miles from where he grew up, and his kids are going to go.
Nice.
Our kids
Nice.
are going to go to the same primary school he went to and the same high school he went to.
Yeah, the only real difference is there's going to be a few dogs mixed into the situation.
Yeah.
Admittedly,
Wait, so-
I find that terrifying to know where the next like 30 years of my life is going to be as someone that's moved around a lot, because I lived in Denmark for a year before I came here. And in America, like I went kind of further away from my home for uni, and you know, I've liked to travel a lot. So it feels really settled in a way that is slightly terrifying.
Question is, like, you place a lot of value in staying around the south side of Glasgow. As Brittany said, you're like 5 miles away from where you grew up, which is an exaggeration. Why is that? What's the driving factor?
I think it's a few different factors. So one of them is my passion for living in like Scotland, in Glasgow. You know, Ryan, I know that you are a passionate advocate for living in Scotland and loving the country, etc.
Yes.
Putting aside all, you know, political and everything like that. I think financially, like Glasgow is a place where you can bring up a family, and you know it's affordable. You drive 20 minutes out of the city, and you can be in a place that looks like you're in a different country, which is a real rarity. I think a few different aspects. So one of them is, for me, religious. So community-wise, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a burden. I would say it's more of a pleasure or like a responsibility that I feel like I have. Like I kind of want to keep a Jewish community going in Glasgow, and I feel that I kind of, I don't know, like I would want to continue that and have my children to kind of hear whether they live in Glasgow in the future is entirely, you know, up to them, or you know, whatever. But for me anyway, I've always kind of been a big advocate for, you know, utilizing the things that you have around you, because we have such great resources in terms of, you know, as I was saying, financially and things. I just love the place. You know, I just love the place. I've got you know, loads of family here, friends, etc., etc. Obviously, things, you know, aren't, you know, stable. I think Brittany, however, I was going to say this, it's quite a different mentality. So Brittany is from America. America compared to Scotland is, you know, Scotland's a dwarfed size. America is massive. It takes hours and hours to get from, you know, from one side of to the east coast to west coast, you know, and then even going a bit closer, from traveling between states, you know, you take flights, and it's very, very big. So I think it's a lot more normalized in America for not to live in the place, or not to live in the home city or the state that you were brought up in.
Yeah, everyone moves away for college and stuff.
Exactly.
And then they never come back.
And then
Hundreds of
never come
miles.
back. So you know, for Brittany, it's probably, you know, she's been brought up in that kind of mentality, and it's very normal to her that moving away, you know, not being settled in, you know, one place is normal. Whereas, you know, for me, I hadn't been brought up in, you know, that same mentality. I'd been brought up to, I've always been encouraged to travel the world and, gain as many cultures and that kind of things. And I've loved it and would never change anything. But I don't know, I just feel that I want to kind of base myself here.
Yeah. To be fair, like in my hometown, we would make fun of what we called townies that like stuck around after high school. Like it was a thing. You'd be like, oh, they're such a townie. Like they think they own this town because they've lived here their whole life. And it is something that we like kind of made fun of. So I think that's why to me it's just kind of odd. But I do understand that also if you want to be in Scotland, Glasgow is the only city in Scotland that has like a Jewish day school, for example, and we have the largest Jewish community here. So for that reason, Glasgow does make a lot of sense for us. If we plan to be continually involved in our Jewish community, it's kind of the place to do it in Scotland at least. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I totally resonate with what you're saying about like townies. So I grew up in a small town outside of Glasgow. Probably like 30 minutes away from it. And it's the type of place where the high school supplies, or the high school encapsulates like 10 different villages because everywhere around is so rural. And there's that stigma against staying here sort of imprints in your mind that like, I'm not successful unless I get out of Scotland or get away from here, And having, done study abroad over in Sweden, having went over to San Francisco to work there, and now working in England, all those things compound and sort of have made me realize like, wait a minute, Scotland is where I want to be, but you're so blinkered when you grow up to get out that you don't see how fantastic it is and the opportunities that we have here and the beauty that we have here. What about you, Rory?
I don't have a preference. I'm quite happy to go.
Don't give a fuck.
Okay, I'm quite happy to go wherever. I don't really mind. I mean, it's nice having support and stuff, but if the job took me to another country, I'd be quite happy to go. I don't really mind.
Yeah. And would you value, if you're trying to make those decisions in the future, would you value your family over your career?
It depends on what the career is, because I don't know what I want to do kind of thing. But if there's something I really, really want to do, I'm not going to like ignore my family. But if there's nothing, like no incident that keeps me there, like if there's no responsibility I have to help kind of thing, then I'm happy to go kind of thing. But the only thing that would keep me is if they need me here, then I would.
Okay.
I've always been if the family needs help, then they get priority, because I've worked for my dad, I've worked for my mum, I've done all that stuff. If they need me, I'm there. Yeah. But if they don't really, really need me, I'd like to go. Just to whatever I think's cool. I haven't figured it out yet, but if I figure it out, I'm going to it kind of thing. You want to play the game now, Ryan?
Yeah, let's go. Sorry, my brain just went blank there. So we're going to go into the segment number 2. So what I've got here is a Mr. and Mrs. quiz, and we have orchestrated it in a way that Daniel is going to go out the room, and Brittany, we're going to ask you some questions about yourself, and then when Dan comes back, he's going to have to answer these questions and see if he really knows you.
Oh God.
So you were joking about us breaking you up, but if he gets it wrong, then that's going to red flag it.
So I actually love these Mr. and Mrs. kind of games, because I normally suck at them.
Oh God. Pressure's on.
Because you pay no attention to your fiance.
Yeah, but the thing is that with after each Mr. and Mrs. game, you get to learn a bit more about the person that maybe you've either forgotten and you shouldn't have forgotten, or that you've just never asked.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we're gonna test you now.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah. So Dan, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. Leave.
And don't listen at the door. Or actually, I have headphones. Never mind. Or you can still hear my answers though. He's like falling out of the room because his legs fell asleep.
Okay, so we might have covered this first one previously, but question 1 is who fancied who first? Yeah. Who had the romantic feelings first?
I had the romantic feelings first.
You did? Okay. What's your most prized possession?
Ooh. See, these are things that I don't even know the answer to, so I don't know how I can expect him to know the answer to.
Or something that's really important to you that's a physical object.
Yeah, so I think at least of things I have in Glasgow, my grandmother passed away last year, and when we were cleaning up my grandpa's house with him, we found the dress she wore to my parents' wedding, and it turns out like whatever size she was 30 years ago is the size I am now, so it's now mine, and I was going to wear it to your uni ball, except obviously COVID canceled it. So that is definitely something I have here that is very important to me. When we moved, I kept it on my lap in the car. I wasn't letting it out of my sight or letting anyone else touch it.
Okay, so
awesome.
That's very good.
That's really cool. Yeah. What was your first ever job? You don't need to say the name of the company, but just like what was your position?
So my first ever job actually was This is so weird to explain. So this is one of these things when we say like Jewish people just get it. A lot of times like Jewish communities, they'll have, if they don't have a Jewish like day school to attend, they'll do something kind of after school. So growing up, I went to like, we called it Hebrew school, but I would learn like Jewish traditions and how to like read Hebrew and things like that 3 times a week after normal school. So my first job was working as a classroom assistant at one of these Hebrew schools. I was 13, but I was getting a paycheck. It was like all above board. It wasn't even like cash in hand kind of thing. So my first job was working as a Hebrew school classroom assistant when I was 13.
Yeah.
Oh,
cool. Do you think Dan will know that?
I don't think he's gonna know that. I would be surprised if he knows that.
What is Dan's worst habit?
I feel like we should know this.
I was gonna,
We should.
Yeah.
I feel like he bites his nails all the time, which I think might be something that he'll say. I don't know, but that's like a very noticeable habit because obviously he's constantly doing it and you can hear it. And his nails are so short, they look like they hurt. Yeah, I used to bite my nails. I stopped
that makes
when
me
I
shiver.
heard he was going to propose because I needed to have good nails for the engagement photos.
That's awesome.
Formerly,
I would never even think about that.
Formerly also my worst habit. Probably why I notice it on him because, you notice your own least favorite things about yourself and other people all the time.
Exactly. Final one. What do you think? Okay, so what are you most worried about for the wedding day?
Oh, that's a psychological one, Ryan. What's going to go wrong? What's going on fire?
I don't know. Like, luckily, my parents are very kindly organizing pretty much everything, so I don't have to worry that much, which is wonderful. But I think something that both of us will probably be a little nervous about is maybe like the first dance. I feel like is something that can be a little intimidating. We're gonna have my high school dance teacher choreograph something for us, so.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
cool.
It's gonna be
That's
like
cool.
Oh my god!
a real dance.
Is it going to be High School Musical style? Something Disney?
So we're not telling people what the first dance song is, but it is a Disney song. I'll reveal that much. So
Nice.
really
That is
typical.
sick. That's going to be amazing. I cannot wait to see
I
it.
think that's something that like we'll be maybe a little nervous about. Obviously, like I grew up dancing, but for Dan, I think that's going to be a little out of his comfort zone. So
I don't think I've ever seen Dan dance ever.
he's good at Kaylee
He's
dances.
great.
Like he knows them very well. Like his memory for it, I think will be fine. It's just getting comfortable.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Let's see how much he knows.
All right.
Bring him back in.
All right. Daniel, come on back. What are you snacking on? What are you snacking on? I feel like I heard food rustling.
You did.
Yeah.
I was having grapefruit.
So we've asked Brittany 5 questions, and we're going to see if you can provide us with the same answer. Brittany said that if you don't get all 5, the wedding's off.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
So, okay,
I endorse
He's
that.
marrying me instead. We're dropping you
Dan
from
just
the...
deliberately gets them all wrong.
Oh, oops.
Ouch.
Number 1, who fancied who first? Who had the first romantic
This
feeling?
is really obvious, this answer.
Yeah, we talked about it
I
earlier.
mean, obviously, from the moment
these
I
are pre-written.
set eyes on Brittany, like I'm talking from the moment I set eyes on Brittany, I didn't even know she existed.
Okay.
Great answer.
So what is your answer?
Oh, the answer is Brittany. 100%.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
100%. Brittany. Bing! Yes!
Yeah, you got it correct. Number 2, this is a bit abstract. What's Brittany's most prized possession or physical thing that means a great deal?
She has quite a lot. I'm not gonna lie. She has quite a lot.
Yeah.
She has like a
Do you
stuffed.
want to give him like a little hint, Brittany? Just a little one.
She has like a stuffed like bear, like a stuffed. What is it?
Tonka's a wombat,
A
and he
wombat.
is one of my favorite things. That's a good
Oh,
answer.
that thing
She
is
has
so
like a
cute.
stuffed
It's like
wombat called Tonka. She also
stuffed
has maybe
wombat.
like a blanket that it might be the blank. No, she has like a blanket that is it your great grandma knitted?
That's a great answer. I wouldn't have thought that you would remember
Oh
that.
come on!
No, that's actually a better
Wow.
answer.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'll have to say, it wasn't the blanket.
Okay.
It wasn't a blanket, but still
Still
excellent
next.
answer.
That's a good
Yeah.
answer, though. So that
Yeah.
blanket I actually had since I was a child, and my great-grandmother knit it for me, and it's actually on my list of things that I like really want to bring over from America, and also would be devastated if anything ever happened to it. So that is a very, very good answer.
Okay, it was your, sorry, was it your grandmother's or your great
My
grandmother's?
grandmother's dress that she wore to my parents'
Your
wedding.
grandmother.
Oh yes.
But also, like,
He's like, oh, I totally
Obviously.
knew that. I
I
totally
actually
knew
think
that.
I actually think my answer was better. I'm not gonna lie. The blanket.
So sorry, Brittany, you lose.
I don't know me at all.
It's the black.
Yeah.
It's the black. It's like the one that's like black and then it's got white at the
Yeah.
top and it's got like these massive like ruffles on the side.
Ah,
Very elegant.
what was Brittany's first job ever?
She's had so many jobs. I would
We care about the
say
first
I would
one.
say going back. Let's see. What age were you? Maybe 16, something along those
First job was
lines.
when I was 13, which is unusual.
Is it when you're maybe
take
like Is it when you're maybe like? I think because I used to do like assistant teaching kind of things, like assistant teacher. I think maybe it was something because you used to always talk about this about when you were like working at the place that your grandma used to work, like the Hebrew school, and you're doing like, was it after school care or it was like some type of like support study that you used
Did you
to
hear this through the wall? Were you listening?
Yeah.
Were you listening through the
I
door?
was actually having my
This is-
grapefruit and kiwi and was drinking what was it? The pink lemonade. What
Did you
get?
have it already?
Yeah, it was actually really tasty. It's almost finished. I'm just kidding. Don't worry.
Wow, that's spot on.
Yeah,
That's
that was it.
incredible.
So
Yeah.
to be fair, half right. I also worked at my grandmother's synagogue, but the one I was working at when I was 13 was the synagogue my mom worked at. My mom and my grandma both worked at synagogues, but different ones. But yes,
Yeah. Well, I give him that.
Yeah.
I think that was that's
Yeah.
that's pretty damn close.
Thanks.
Well done.
And Dan, what does Brittany think is your worst habit?
My worst habit.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what this is. It's probably the only worst habit I have.
Okay.
okay.
I'm just kidding. I've got a few bad habits. I've got a few bad habits, but my worst habit is biting my nails.
Yeah.
That's
I
another bing.
yeah yeah. Wow, I'm getting good at this.
I'll add in the bings in post.
Wait, can we just cue it again?
Bing.
Yes.
Yeah, nice one. So here's the last one. What is Brittany most worried about for the wedding day?
Oh, interesting.
Besides spending the rest of her life with you.
That is terrifying, not gonna lie.
I would be terrified
I'm scared
as well
for
if
you.
I was thinking about it. Put it this way, I might not have said yes if I was asking myself.
Wow.
That's a
Insightful.
mind trip, but yeah.
What the worst thing?
Most nerve-wracking thing.
Yes, I would say probably one of the main things that we have a responsibility for, other than making sure that we say I do and we say yes. That's
I hope so.
quite a big responsibility. I'm not gonna lie.
You need to memorize that script.
Yeah, I hope we both get that part right.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, which one was it? I would probably say, see, the other responsibility is the dancing. So we're doing like
Okay.
we're doing like our first dance. Let me guess.
Did you listen through the wall? I don't believe that you got that.
Yeah, that's another right
we-
one. That's another.
I think
No,
you are cheating.
I don't believe that.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why with the first dance. I'll tell you why with the first dance. Because on the actual day we have very little responsibilities, and I was just racking my brain around what we're actually doing, like what we actually have to do on the day, and there's actually very little that, like, you know, we would be worried about. I don't know if that makes sense. So I was just kind of like coming across, because obviously, you know, we've got like a wedding party, so you've got your best man, your bridesmaids, and your groomsmen, and your you know, maid of honor. So like, they're all there to help, and then you've got like, you know, family, etc., etc. But then in terms of like what we're actually like in control of and what we've to do, there's not actually that much that we've to do.
To be fair, I should have said
Sit
going
back,
to the bathroom
relax.
in a wedding dress, because that sounds really fucking stressful. But
Oh my god, that's such a good
I
point.
didn't even think about that until right now, but I changed
I
my
can't even
answer
do it in
to
a kilt.
that.
Dan's a product
Yeah.
designer. He'll rig you up something. He'll be fine.
Some
Someone
mechanical
invented that. It's called
lift
the shiwi.
assembly. Oh, the shiwi.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
But yeah, that's 4 out of 5. That's solid. That is a performance and a half.
Solid, mate.
I have to say,
80%. That's an A star, A plus.
Yeah.
80%. I would take that.
Well done.
I mean, as I said, you know, I did earlier on in the podcast, I did say if we had like a 78%, then it would be a definite no.
Oh yeah, 80%. That passes the compatibility matrix algorithm.
Yeah, you're allowed to get married.
Yeah.
That's it,
So-
mate.
You're allowed
for
to get
life.
married now. Congratulations,
it's science.
guys.
So science says that we're allowed to. So yeah, absolutely.
Can't argue with science.
That's brilliant. Yeah, here's a question for everyone, moving back into the main body of the podcast. So if you were to give yourself from 5 years ago advice, so you visit yourself in a vision and it's you 5 years ago, like in Star Wars when there's a little hologram of Princess Leia to Obi-Wan Kenobi, your only hope. You visit yourself 5 years ago. What do you say? What advice do you give?
Yeah, I'd say it can be either about relationship stuff or it can be anything.
Oh, it could be anything. Yeah.
Keep it open. Keep it.
January 2016 May.
Yeah.
Fuck was it?
First year of uni.
Yeah, that was set the beginning of second semester of first year of uni. Yeah, for us.
Yeah. I would probably say, Daniel, it's only going to get harder from here.
Buckle up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd probably
what
say.
advice?
I'd probably say, look, you've probably thought the last few years have been tough, but you just wait for the next 5 years of your life. I probably mentally prepare my five, previous, like kind of 5 year old, well, not 5 year old self, but my kind of person if it was a 5 year old self. Oh my god, yeah, 5 years ago, I'd probably say the next 5 years are going to be really stressful. They are going to be really tough. In particular, 2020, there will be 2020 and I'd say even 2019. Like for me in particular, I mean obviously like the pandemic and all that kind of things. But personally speaking, has been like a really rough year in terms of loss of individuals and but it's also been, but there is also a tunnel, a light at the end of that tunnel. So in and amongst all of the stress, this is kind of like the advice I would give. That the next 5 years is going to be tough, right? There's going to be moments where you will want to give up, or you will want to throw in the towel, and there's even points that my 2021 self has that same thoughts. But the thing is that, no matter how shitty it gets, yes, it can get shittier, but also there are great moments that happen in and amongst those shitty times.
Yeah, like 5 years from now, you're going to be a guest on the Idiots Anonymous podcast.
Absolutely.
True highlight.
100%. 100%. I mean, that, I wouldn't say it's the pinnacle of my career, but I would definitely say it's the beginning towards that pinnacle.
Okay.
That podcast. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really good shout. Yeah. What about you, Brittany?
So 5 years ago, I had actually just finished uni in the end of 2015. So January 2016, I would be living in Denmark at that point. I think the advice to myself would probably just be to stop trying to plan things so much. I used to be that person that had a 5-year plan. And if you asked me what my 5-year plan was, this fucking wasn't it. But I also really like where I am now. So don't worry about it.
Wait, isn't that like a paradox though? Because if you tell yourself, if you tell 5 years ago, don't plan for anything, it's all going to go great. You're not going to have,
you're not going to be where you are,
Maybe
because
just
you're
don't
changing the
worry
timeline.
so much when things don't go to plan. And make the effort to hop across the pond a little more often. My parents used to really have to kind of push me to go visit. Not because I don't like my family. I was just if I'm going to take holiday time, there's so many countries I have access to when I'm over here. But probably to go visit family a little bit more often. Because, there's some people you're going to regret not visiting more.
That's it. Yeah, that's an important one. What about you, Rudy?
Yourselves?
Oh, I wrote one down. It's don't be afraid to do things that scare you, and don't wait around for things to happen. Just if you want something, kind of go after it. Because I started doing it 2 years ago. Just started doing stuff that I did climbing, which was scary. I've jumped off waterfalls now, a bunch of stuff like that. And I feel like I had more opportunities to maybe do that kind of stuff and didn't. So
What kind of
I'm still,
opportunities?
I don't know, just I don't know, if I was scared to go to a party or something because I didn't feel like I know anyone, maybe just go to it kind of thing. That's just an example, but it's obviously still something I'm doing now is just trying to do things because I want to do them rather than kind of overthinking.
Yeah.
But if I started 5 years ago, then that might be a bit easier now, if that makes sense. So if I started then, I feel like maybe there's a few things that I wouldn't have missed. But yeah, just do things that scare you because they tend to be quite fun.
Totally.
What about you, Ryan?
I would say to myself, number one, don't be an idiot.
No, you need to for this podcast.
There's certain things in everyone's past that you regret. You might have been an asshole to someone. You might have made certain choices that weren't the best or whatever it is. I wouldn't f around with those because you might risk changing the timeline.
Absolutely.
And then you might not be where you are now. if you change a slight thing. But the advice I would say to myself is don't underestimate yourself. I feel like all through my university career, and even now in my professional career, I'm always comparing myself to other people. Oh, this person is really good at this thing. I feel inferior because I'm not that good. And it's sort of, for a long time, prevented me from, as Rory's saying, like pursuing certain things because I thought, oh, well, I'm not that actually good enough to even start doing that. So what's the point? Yeah, I would tell myself to shake that mindset as soon as you can, because it's only sort of now in the past year and a half that I've sort of got away from that a little bit. So yeah, that holds people back.
Yeah, well, I think time-wise, that's maybe all we've got, because you guys have been like holding this podcast more than we have, because we're like, oh, we gotta have these points, But you're like, yeah, I've got a point, I'm gonna go with it. So you've nailed it.
Yeah, absolutely nailed it. Yeah. You're the, sorry, Jack and Chris, but these two are the best podcast guests we've had so far.
Yes.
Yeah,
We're actually
That's going on my CV.
Yeah, Jack and Chris, if you're listening, you will not be getting invited back again.
Suck it.
You're replaced. Yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on. It's been lovely to chat to you, and it's very interesting to hear you being open as well about all these sort of your perspectives on things. It's really interesting. So yeah, thank you. It's been awesome.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Congrats.
It's been really. Oh, thank you. It's been really interesting to like just in a time where everyone's got so many like negative thoughts, and the first thing people think about and talk about is the pandemic. It's actually really been really nice just to, you know, chat about
Normal shit.
yeah, just normal stuff. Reflect about like achievements, you know, who we are and stuff like that, and where we want to go. Yeah, it's been really nice. Thanks for having us on.
thanks for coming on, and congratulations on the engagement. Look forward to the wedding. Whoop, whoop. Ryan and I will be there to mess things up, don't you worry.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah, absolutely.
We look forward to it.
Yeah.
If you go the full Scotsman, please don't flash people, though.
Yeah. Well, on that point, thank you very much for listening. Check out the other episodes if you want to. But from all of us here on Idiots Anonymous, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.